Hello and welcome to today's webcast entitled How to Conquer the Chaos So You Can Grow Your Small Business. My name is Rachel and I will be your event specialist today. There will be a Q&A session at the end of today's presentation. You can ask questions at any time during the presentation. Simply click on the Ask a Question button, type your question in the open area, and click Ask a Question to submit. We will be asking for your feedback today using polling questions. The poll will appear in the lower left-hand corner of your screen. Please click on your response when the poll appears, and the results will automatically tally. If you should need technical assistance during the event, please type your inquiry into the tech support box on the left-hand side of your screen and click the Send button. If you are disconnected from the webcast, you can log in again using the login instructions provided to you via email. It is now my pleasure to turn today's webcast over to Rudiger Mers, Executive Vice President of Marketing for Nevada State Bank. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Rachel, and good morning and welcome to this month's Nevada State Bank monthly webinar series. Before I introduce our keynote speaker today I want to get one of the key questions out of the way that we usually get throughout the presentation is, are we going to have access to the presentation, and are we going, or can we see the webinar again? And there's a clear yes to both. We're going to post this on our nevadasmallbusiness.com website tomorrow, and you also will have a chance to download the presentation then and there. Without further ado, I'm very excited to introduce today's speaker, Scott Martineau. He's the co-founder and VP of Customer Service of Infusionsoft. Scott has some real success stories from the field. He has been an entrepreneur. He has built his company into $20 million companies and is going to share with us some real life success stories of how some other entrepreneurs as well as business owners can take this at heart and to their advantage. So without any further ado, Scott, great to have you on board, and please take it on from here.
Thanks, Rudiger. I am very excited to be here today and feel very privileged to be able to talk to your listeners, and we have a lot of great stuff that we're going to cover today. I think maybe just to add to the bio that you share with who I am, I think I'll add that I'm a father of 6, and so I'm a pretty good expert on chaos in more than one arena, both at work and at home. And married to a wonderful wife who is just an amazing entrepreneur in her own right at home, taking care of these kids. She actually is even crazy enough to homeschool these kids. And so we've got a great life there with helping to turn these little ones into entrepreneurs. And so anyway, I'm excited to be here today. And I think before we get started, what I'd like to do is start out with a quick poll, because I want to find out who you are on the other end of the phone lines. I want to know what type of scenario you're coming from. So, Rachel, why don't we go ahead and start this first poll? And the main goal here is just to understand what type of people. So we'll let this stay open for about 10 seconds. So if everybody can just click on the option that best describes you, give you about 10 seconds more, and then we'll get cracking. All right. Looks like most of the results have come in, so fantastic. It looks like we have about 30% that are just starting out their company, 45, so about half of you have started a company and you've run it for more than 5 years, and then 15 of you have the privilege of working for these crazy entrepreneurs, and a few that fall into a couple of other categories, big companies and other. Okay, great. Fantastic. Well, this webinar is going to be great for every one of you who voted today. I'm going to share with you kind of some from the trenches stories about what growing our company has been like, and as well some of the lessons and things that we've observed as I've grown my company. I've been able to interact with a ton of entrepreneurs, literally thousands of them, and so we've been able to observe some things that are common trends as well as some things that will help people to overcome challenges that also are pretty common. So I want to just start off by first talking about the entrepreneurial revolution. We are, without a doubt, in an entrepreneurial revolution. And in the next 12 months, about 1 million small businesses will be born just in the United States. And that's a staggering number, but probably even more staggering is the fact that a year from now, half of those businesses, will be gone, dead. And so, basically that's like you sitting in an audience with a whole bunch of your friends, and you look to the person next to you, you both start a company, and one of you will be gone within a year. And frankly, Clayton is the co-founder of Infusionsoft with me and the co-author of this book with me. We are just flat out not okay with that. And that's the reason that we wrote Conquer the Chaos. We'll never be able to take away the challenges that come with growing a company, but we just don't think it should be so hard to grow a small business. And we have some thoughts that we believe will help you to have more success. And so those of you who are in the middle of you've got a company, you've been running it for 5 years, you're gonna hear the things we talk about today, and it will resonate very clearly. Those of you who are considering starting a company or have just started the company, you'll find these things to be very beneficial as you begin to learn the ropes and you experience the things that entrepreneurs do. So let's talk about that very first, the glimmer in the eye, if you will, of entrepreneurship. And if you think about what it is that drives people to start their own company, there is a goal of freedom. When it all gets boiled down, there's a goal of freedom. And this freedom is really based on kind of a hierarchy of entrepreneurial needs. At the foundation, we need to have money in order to have a certain level of success and lifestyle that we choose to live. But if you kind of go up to the hierarchy of freedoms, it's really about time, control, and eventually the ability to create something that is great, that changes the world, driven by a purpose. But when everything is really about freedom, and there's a little bit of ego, right? Aren't we really saying to the world that we kind of have a better way? We're not going to go fall in line with what everybody else is doing. We're going to do our own thing, dang it. And it may not be perfect, but it's going to be uniquely ours, and it will create a freedom for us that will enable us to have the money, the time, and the freedom and control. So that's the vision everybody has when they go to sleep the night they decide to start their company. And some point over the next couple of years, maybe it's the next 1 month, maybe it's the next 1 year, maybe it's 5 years, we wake up and we realize that small business is not it's not the dream, beautifully green landscaped scenario that we thought it was when we were sitting on the other side of the fence. We wake up and we realize, holy cow, this is not what I signed up for. I've got payroll pressures. I'm wearing 17 different hats. These customers are complaining. We've got all these logistical problems. My spouse or significant other or friends are frustrated because I'm not giving them the time that I used to. And in the end, we're just frustrated, and it just isn't this dream that we had. And that's a kind of a sobering reality for a lot of people. And some people, it takes them kind of this initial realization before they decide, this really isn't for me. And other people, they stick through it, and I'm going to share with you some tools and ideas today that will help you to blaze through these challenges and break down the walls that will allow you to run a company more successfully. Michael Gerber, who is an author of The E-Myth, a fantastic book for every entrepreneur. If you haven't read it, you really should. He argues in the book, he says, most people who think they're entrepreneurs aren't really entrepreneurs. They're technicians suffering from an entrepreneurial seizure. And what happens is they wake up and they realize one day that they don't really have a business. What they have is a job, and the problem is they're working for a lunatic. And so I thought that was a very articulate way of describing what happens when people start a company. When it comes to growing the company, there are also some pretty standard challenges that we have. There's a very common trend that I've seen, at least. And I have several friends that have small companies, and I always ask them, hey, what do you do to market? How do you attract people to your business? And almost invariably they'll say, oh, well, I grow based on referrals. It's a very common thing for people to say, and it's almost as if they say it kind of puffing out their chest. It's like it's kind of a cool thing to say. And the challenge is that when I hear that, I honestly, in the back of my mind, I think to myself, well, I think what's really going on is you don't have a systematic way of growing your company. You're not very confident about your marketing, and you default to, I grow my business based on referrals. And, I think it's an interesting scenario because entrepreneurs, myself included, we don't come out of the womb understanding how to grow our companies. And so we kind of are left to suffer through it. And we think we'll just figure it out. We just go and we go and we go. And, I think back to the very first thing I could think of in our business where we did a marketing campaign. and it cost us about $500, and we might as well have just took that $500 and lit it on fire because we didn't have a clue. The reality was we didn't have a clue. So I'll share some ideas about some things that are fundamental to creating a solid growth strategy and that will help you to get beyond the on-again, off-again marketing strategies that I think is very typical of a small business owner. So Conquer the Chaos is the title of the book that Clayton and I wrote, and we all experience chaos. If you look in the graphic that we've got here, you've got pressures coming from all over the place. You have general pressures of entrepreneurship. You've got fires that you're putting out. You've got payroll that is constantly sitting behind you, ready to gobble you up. And then you got your competition out there who's giving you the pressure, the competitive pressure. And all the while, you're just running and running and running and getting more tired and switching the hats and so forth. And, chaos is inevitable, but it's really how you handle it that determines your success. And so I want to tell you first about the story of my company and the challenges that we faced early on and some of the things that we learned. So 10 years ago, I was sitting around with a buddy, and we decided, you know what, we're ready to start a company. We had not a clear vision. We really just wanted to work for ourselves. We were excited to stick it to the man, so to speak, and we wanted that freedom, right? We wanted that potential to be put into our hands. So we didn't have a lot of clear vision, but what we did have was we had rock-solid clarity about the space we wanted to have for our business. So we went out and found the best realtor in Arizona, and we said, could you somehow find us a place that is comfortably sandwiched between a used mattress retailer, that's what you see here on the right, and a cranky physical therapist, that's what you see on the left. And they found us this amazing space that you see here that was nothing more than a wide hallway. Yeah, this is the back room of our space here. If you can see that, you can notice it came complete with a sleeping bag that we could use to spend our long nights of tireless labor in the back. It had this great checkered kind of a grocery store-looking floor in the back. And that was where Infusionsoft, our company, started. And life was not peachy. It was really horrible. There were some times where, for a while there, it was about every day where we just weren't sure if we were going to make this work. We lived on soda and pizza. We had long stints of months without payroll, and those of you who have done that or are doing that now, you know what that's like. One day, Clayt's wife, so again, Clayt is my business partner, and his wife is my sister. She woke up and she's like, Clayt, I'm so sick and tired of you telling me that finally, or someday soon, this business is going to take off and it's going to be great. She's like, I'm just done. I want you to go out today and I want you to get a real job. And this has been going on for months. And finally he said, all right, Sharice, I'm going to do that. And he didn't go out and get a job. He came to work, and he sat there and he stewed all day long. And he knew in his gut that he wanted to have this company, and we wanted to grow it. And he felt the confidence that we could, and he just couldn't go out and get a job. So he drove home with his tail between his legs, was totally nervous. He knew that he was going to get just walloped by Sharice when he got home. And he walked in the door, and Sharice was like, Clayt, you know what, I've spent some time, I've thought about this a ton, I've prayed about it, and I just feel like everything's going to work out. And so Clayt was extremely relieved, of course. But that's the extent to which we went. We were ready to shut things down, and I don't think there's any entrepreneur that hasn't had those moments where they're just ready to be done. And it's that environment where the chaos just eats us up and takes everything out of us, and we end up where if we go out on dates with our significant other, we're always thinking about the business, and we're on the phone. And if we go on vacation at all, we're tied to the business, and it's just so taxing and so consuming. And so, it's a challenging situation to be in. At Infusionsoft today, it looks very different. We have at Infusionsoft, we have 135 employees. About 20,000 small businesses use our software, Infusionsoft, to help grow their company. And we've been in Inc. 500 for 3 or 4 years running. And it's just a fantastic place to be. And there's not a day that walks by that I don't walk in here with perfect memories of the nasty, ugly original days of the company and looking at what is going on today. And I'm just in awe. I'm at awe at this whole thing we call entrepreneurship and running a business. And I'm excited to share the strategies that we've used to do this and that we've seen other people use. So I'm going to talk today about 6 different strategies